Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show, where we celebrate the innovators driving change in the education industry. At Edison OS, we've worked with over 500 knowledge entrepreneurs to turn their edtech ideas into profitable businesses. Hi, Debbie. Good evening. Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneur Show. Thanks so much for taking time out for this.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here.
My
Thank
pleasure,
you.
Debbie. So, Debbie, my first question or the first thought, that I had when I read your website as well as when we first spoke was this podcast was started around talking to people in the education domain, especially about online teaching and the online system. And a lot of us believe that,
Yes.
the online education came about after the pandemic. But obviously, a lot of people were doing it before that. But you seem to have been doing that much, much before. So, how music and how
Yeah.
online music?
It's a great question, Jag. And yeah, we decided to do this long before anybody thought it was a good idea. And when we would tell people about it and ask them to partner with us, we had a lot of people laugh at us. They just didn't think that you could teach online, let alone teach music online back in 2001. But Berklee College of Music has always been a pioneer in many ways. With it's a contemporary music institution. It was the first place to have a songwriting major, first place where you could have a guitar as your principal instrument, and the list of firsts goes on and on. So of course it made sense that we were the first online school. We had a correspondence course through the mail where students would mail in their lessons handwritten and get another lesson back in the mail that was along with their graded assignment from before. And so taking that distance learning idea to the internet was just the next logical step in the correspondence course, and then it just grew from there.
Was it like, I mean, it's definitely not the same how things have evolved. It must have been a little more basic, probably. But what's the kind of
Yes.
evolution that you've seen, if you can share you know, from a practical difference, not from a features point of view, right? Today we've got background, we can change
Yeah.
background, all of those things that, yeah.
Right, right.
Was it this easy, rather? That's my question. Yeah. When you started off.
So we started off, it was largely text based.
Right.
When we started, people were connecting to our online school, to Berkeley Online through modems, from around the world. So we had to be very careful with how much media we included in the courses because that was not an easy, not a pleasant experience. And when we first started with video, it was the size of a postage stamp, you know.
Right.
Um, so we always tried to build our courses in a way that the student with the lowest common denominator, the worst possible connection, would have a good experience. And we tried to stay true to that. And as bandwidth has expanded and technology has evolved, we keep upping the game. And so now we have got robust videos and interactions and collaborative tools. And it used to be that instructors gave feedback with text prompts. And if you write a song and you put your whole heart and soul into it, and then you read a critique, you impose your own tone to the critique. And a lot of times people were getting their feelings hurt, believe it or not.
Wow. Okay.
But once we transitioned to audio tools and even video tools for instructor critique, it was wonderful because you could hear the empathy in the teacher's voice, the understanding. They would start to then sing to the student or play, you played this, did you think of that? So we've evolved the tool set always to make sure that the students would still have a really good experience, an accessible experience, and also, most importantly, to maximize their success, the student's success.
Got it, Debbie. So when you say online, there are two things, right? Was it asynchronous or was it synchronous? When you first started, I believe it was asynchronous.
So we've always had this model of largely asynchronous
Okay.
experience. So we're catering to adult learners with busy lives, jobs, and families. But there are milestones in every lesson. So 1 week is one lesson, and most of our courses are 12 weeks in length. So a 12-week semester or 12 lessons. And in a given lesson, there are milestones. So you need to do, let's say, respond to the discussion board topic by Tuesday, do a practice exercise by Wednesday, turn your assignment in, by Saturday, and you're graded accordingly, on time submissions. But if somebody knows they've got something coming up on Saturday, they can get their assignment in earlier if they want, or ask. Or with adult learners, our instructors are very flexible. So if you ask ahead of time, can I turn this in a couple days late? It's usually granted. So very asynchronous. However, we've integrated Zoom into our custom online learning platform, and every week, every instructor holds one hour lesson in real time. Now, our students are from all over the world. In any given online course section, people are from all different time zones. So we can't really require that everybody participate in the Zoom. Everybody tries because it's wonderful to be there together. But if you can't make it as a student, it's all recorded, and the expectation is that you will watch the recording, and learn from what took place there. So it's almost all of it is asynchronous except for the Zoom feature. And of course, you might be online with somebody at the same time, and you can tell. We've got a way to tell if another student's on there, so you can communicate with them, and a lot of collaborative tools like that.
Got it, Debbie. Debbie, music is not the mainstream education, or there are not a lot of people who go, who seek out an education in music or something like that. At least for me, it used to be an after school 1 hour session. I briefly attended vocal classes in Carnatic music here. So I know how it was, right? But what I'm trying to ask is, at Berklee, who are your target audience? Is it for hobbyists as well, or is it for professional musicians? Is it for somebody who's going to try and do a 3-year degree in music? Who's it for?
It's really all of the above. So we have courses, online courses that anyone can come and enroll in and take. We have certificate programs, which are courses that are bundled together, and then you get a credential of a certificate. And then we have full degree programs where you have to apply and be accepted into either an undergraduate or graduate degree program. And each one of those offerings attracts a different kind of student. So the hobbyist and the professional musician tends to go for a standalone course. I'll give you an example. Fraser T. Smith, who's a well-regarded producer around the world, he co-wrote the song Set Fire to the Rain with Adele. He took a Berklee Online keyboard course because he wanted to play the keyboard parts himself on that recording. So he spent a 12-week experience with us, got his keyboard chops together, and then
thank you for sharing this example.
And, he shared that with us publicly at a Berklee event, so I feel comfortable sharing that. And so there are examples like that. There are people who wanted to go to Berklee and their parents wouldn't let them,
Right.
You can be a doctor or a lawyer. I'm not sending you to music school, kind of thing. And now that they have their own resources, they're going back to where they wanted to go originally. We have people who are looking for career changes. So a lot of performing musicians or artist managers, touring musicians who want to get off the road. They come back to us to earn their degree so that they can teach at the college level in a music program. And hobbyists, people who just always wanted to learn to play guitar, for example. So it really runs the gamut. Everything. So a lot of household name musicians who are touring with, you name the band. They're taking their classes from a touring bus, right on through to a high school student who dreams of going to Berklee one day and is taking courses with us at Berklee Online to get their skills up to one day apply.
Got it, Debbie. And you said, 3 to 4 types of programs that you have. All of them are available online. I'm sure the hobbying and the standalone courses are there online. But what about the undergraduate or the graduate courses? Are they online as well?
Yes. If you go to online.berklee.edu, you can see that we have a section for just the courses, the certificate programs, and the degree programs. And the courses it's just like buying a product. You read the description, you read the prerequisites, and the things that you need from an equipment perspective or musical background perspective, and then you just purchase the course. What's interesting is if you, for example, take Music Production 101, when you're in that course with 20, no more than 20, we have a promise to our students and our instructors that we'll keep small, intimate cohorts of only up to 20 students in each section. So when you're in there, you'll have degree students in there and non-degree students. You'll have professional musicians. It's a real potpourri of all walks of a musical life in there, and students learn from each other. It's a really lovely thing to see. So it's the same courses, whether you're a degree student or a non-degree, as we call it, student.
Right.
It's the same course. Yeah.
It's just weekly once you have a synchronous session. And, mostly it's, accessing your recordings, and then probably, you've got collaborative tools. Why then restrict a cohort size to just 20, Debbie?
Oh, that's a very good question. So these are instructor-led experiences. So every week you are submitting your assignment. It's always a portfolio-based assignment. So whether you're writing a song, you're recording your guitar performance, you're mixing, you're writing to picture, you're building a portfolio of film scores that you've done for assignments. And the instructor has to provide very robust feedback for each one of those students every single week. So it's pretty labor intensive. They don't have to deliver the lessons. We've built those with the person, the instructor who's created the course, and they're filled with video and audio and text and interactions. But the instructor's role in an online course is to answer questions, to hold the Zoom session, and also to, in a very meaningful way, record a critique for the students' assignments. Yeah, so I've taught some of our courses. I like to pop in there once in a while and teach, so I'm in touch with the student experience and the teacher experience. And it's a lot of work to grade 20 assignments per week, in a meaningful way. So it's really so that the students have a high touch experience with the instructors, and the instructors aren't overwhelmed with a huge class.
Got it, Debbie.
Yeah.
Debbie, being a very structured sort of a course offering that you have, usually let's take, for example, YouTube or any open source video sharing platform, where there are a lot of people sharing, tutorials or how to do stuffs, right? But it's pretty basic and simple, they may not cater to everybody. It's not interactive. Probably a very minute percentage of the
Right.
people who watch, take away what they came for. So from a structure point of view, what is the framework, or, what are the sort of rules that you follow? Like you said, you have a max number of 20 people in a cohort. Similarly, do you have a maximum video length which doesn't go beyond a certain point, or is it directly a video? It's a bunch of videos, or do you have video, text followed by a quiz? How is it structured inside?
That's a great question. And we do have a sample a lesson right on the homepage of online.berklee.edu, so people can really see what it looks like inside. We're 23 years into teaching music online at Berklee, and I still get the question, we all still get the question, how do you teach music
Yeah.
online? It's a mystery until you actually see it. So, imagine you're in a film scoring course and you're learning to write music to picture, and the week that you are in, the lesson you're in, is focused on high intensity action music. So you log into your lesson, and the learning objectives for the week is to learn what kind of melodies and harmonies and rhythm would create music that would support a high intensity action scene. And so you then go through the lesson and you watch a clip from Bruce Willis in Die Hard, and you hear, you see this truck exploding and racing, and you hear this music that supports that. And then after you watch that clip, you see music notation that shows this is the melody that supported that scene. This is the harmony that supported that scene. This is the rhythm that supported that scene. Let's look at the full orchestra score now and see how the kinds of instruments that were used to create that intense sound. And so they're kind of building a tool belt of, if somebody one day asks me if I could write a scene to high intensity action music, I know some things that need to happen. It needs to be these complex rhythms and melodies that are just like, da-dun, da-dun, not flowing big melodies for more beautiful scenes. And all of these things they're learning. And then it's time to say, okay, do you have this? Let's do a quick exercise. Write music that would support this kind of a scene. And so they all do that on their recording platform and music notation software, and they critique each other and get feedback from their instructor. They watch more clips, learn more tools until the very end. We've secured movie clips from, motion pictures that have been in the movie theaters, and they get to download that clip, and their assignment for the week is to write their score and record it, and they get a critique by their instructor. Sometimes the students are inspired to also give feedback, and at the end of the course they can download their work, and they've got their own portfolio of work that shows they know how to write music to picture for all kinds of scenes. One week might be high intensity, one week might be love songs, the next week might be sadness. So we try to provide our students with really practical skills that they can use to further their career opportunities and their dreams.
Got it, Debbie. Debbie, you spoke about, okay, first of all, when we talk about music, at least for the common people who are not really musicians, who are just consumers of music, they think about either singing or either instruments, right? And when you think about learning, it's either, okay, you learn how to sing, or you probably, learn how to play some of the instruments. But of course, there is music production and all of these things. But now you also mentioned using the tools. Now, there is a lot of software and stuff like that. So is that also a part of your curriculum? Do you teach only tools as well? Or is it, all combined with the music lessons as per need?
That's a great question. I think what's unique to Berklee is that we use the tools to teach the concepts, so that when the tools one day go away, you have transferable skills to apply those concepts to the other
Right.
tools. So we do have producing music with Pro Tools. We do have live performance with Ableton Live, and I could rattle off others. And in those courses, you're learning transferable skills that you could apply it to any tool that does that thing.
Got it. Got it, Debbie.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are two other things. One is the age group, and one is, how beginner can someone be to get started at Berklee?
How
How
what?
much of a beginner one can be, Uh, yeah,
Oh, yes, yes. That's a great question. So the majority of the Berklee Online students are adult learners, ages 25 to 55. That's the majority of them. That's like the
right.
bell. We have had 9-year-olds, of course, with their parents' permission and kind of hand-holding through it. We have an amazing 9-year-old drummer who successfully completed a college course in rock drumming, and then developed a very nice relationship with that instructor. And I believe they had private lessons outside of the course. So really neat thing. And we have, we've had people in their 80s and beyond also. But for the most part, it's 25 to 55, and serious hobbyists and serious professionals. And that being said, you might be a serious professional that always, played piano or always played bass, but you really would like to learn guitar. Well, we have a day one beginning guitar course. So there are some very beginning level opportunities with Berklee Online, but you will be surrounded by people who are passionate about music. That's a common thread. We also have free courses that are very basic on a platform you may have heard of called Coursera.
Yes.
So yeah, Coursera and edX, we've partnered with them to make, in Berklee is a mission-driven nonprofit organization, and anytime we have an opportunity to expand the reach and provide music education opportunities to musicians in an accessible way, we always try to do that. We're teaching incarcerated youth in the States. We've taught in refugee camps through Berklee Online around the world, and of course with Coursera, we've reached 3.7 million learners through our free dozens of courses, Berklee courses. They're not instructor led. You're not getting
Right.
grades or anything like that, but it's real Berklee curricula.
Got it, Debbie.
Yeah.
Debbie, I saw that, you were the part of the leadership team that founded Berkeley's online school 18 years ago. So there was
Yes.
a non-online
Yes.
school that was founded much earlier than that.
Oh, yes. So Berklee College of Music was founded in 1945,
Wow. Okay.
and that's what we call the mothership.
Right.
It's where I went for my undergraduate degree. It's in the heart of Boston, and Berkeley Online was kind of born out of that. The board of trustees and the president at the time, Lee Burke. I don't know if you know the story, but Lee
Nope.
Burke was the son of the
Okay.
founder, named the school after him, and he was the president for 25 years. He was the president. Gary Burton, who's a very celebrated jazz vibraphonist, I think 15 Grammys to his name, was the executive vice president at the time, and they green lighted our business plan for Berkeley Online, and so we established a new learning environment, if you will, a new way to be a Berkeley student through Berkeley Online. So there's Berklee College of Music in Boston, there's Berkeley Online, and since then, we've also established a campus in Valencia, Spain, so Berkeley Valencia, Berkeley, New York City, the Power Station, famous recording studio. We now offer graduate programs there and summer programs, all kinds of things in Berkeley, New York City. There is also not degree granting, but we have a presence, a learning center in Abu Dhabi. And, I would imagine there'll be more before you know it. Oh, of course, and we merged with the Boston Conservatory about 8 years ago. So the Boston Conservatory at Berkeley, which brings musical theater, classical music, and dance to the Berkeley world.
And all of these are nonprofits, is it?
Yeah, it's all under the
Okay.
Berkeley, the big, what we call the Big B, big Berkeley brand, and all the schools underneath it.
Got it. I mean, you can
Almost like
choose or not to choose to answer this question, but this is slightly a non-musical question, just sort of curiosity. Why do people, start not for profit or non-profit? Is there a specific reason, Debbie? Because you were part of the leadership team when you founded Berkeley's online school. If you can,
Yeah, so it's philanthropic, it's mission driven, it feels good. A lot of people decide that they want to spend their career working in a non-for-profit. So, any profit, or really it's called surplus, generated is funneled back into student scholarships. And so it's just a wonderful, wonderful way to exist in a professional
I mean,
setting, to know
yeah,
that.
no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah,
Uh, Probably my
yeah,
question stemmed from the thought that, okay, the moment you go non-profit or not-for-profit, are you being paid competitively? Are you negotiating from the premise of being non-profit? Stuff like that. That's where I was, yeah, yeah.
right. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a very good question. Berkeley is very good to its employees, very generous, and we have a student first mindset. So we always remember that every salary, every expense is being paid for by student tuition, and those students, have federal financial aid loans and all of that. So being mindful of who's really funding our existence, it's the students. And so that really helps with making, mission driven decisions. So it's not, nonprofits are not the highest salaries. A software developer who's working for Berkeley Online could make a lot more money at a startup potentially, but the work resonates with their heart.
Yeah, no, no, no. I mean, of course, there's always that
Yeah,
with any company, but what I understand is it's not below, what could be a standard sort of a thing. It's not at the cost of
right.
anybody's, convenience, if I can put it that way. Got it.
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, I think if you go into that path, you have your eyes open as to the range. Yeah, uh, but it's a wonderful thing to be part of. Yeah,
Has it ever been a
yeah.
case that you couldn't hire someone because you were a nonprofit?
Oh, that's a good question. Over the years, there are cycles where certain skill sets are in high demand. You know, and over the years, I can recall losing some software developers to offers they received that I couldn't
Right.
match.
Okay.
Yeah, yep, and that happens. And I'm happy to say that several of the people who left us for other opportunities came back because the work meant so much to them. Not all of them came back, but it's always so wonderful to see that happen. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, that can happen.
Got it. Um,
Yeah,
Debbie, just to touch upon that cycles of skills, that if you can share a few examples. Are you
yeah.
going through one currently because of the AI and all of those things? Are you facing a similar situation of um, a stage in a cycle where you might be in a trough or, at the crest? Is that
Oh, good question. So I am so fortunate to have a very entrepreneurial team at Berkeley Online, and they are jumping on what can we do with AI to help further our students' success. So we have one person in particular, Gabriel Reifer Cohen, who has taken it upon himself to build this incredible Socratic method tutor bot we're calling Bob, which stands for Berkeley Online Bot,
wow?
and it's
Okay.
now supporting. Yeah, it's moving towards being a real agentic kind of tool. Right now it's helping students in music theory 101 and also in our computer programming course for musicians. Of course, there's a lot of math in that course, and our students as adult learners are often 10 or 15 years out from having studied math, so some of that gets some cobwebs. So Bob eventually is going to be supporting all of our courses. Now, it doesn't replace an instructor at all,
Thank you for
and it doesn't
clarifying that.
provide answers.
At least not yet.
Yeah, yeah. But imagine you just had your online class, thing, and great experience, and you're going through your lesson, and it's time to do some kind of quiz, and you go back and look at the lesson, and it's just you're missing it, and you can post a question to your instructor, but it may not be until a few hours or the next day
Yeah.
until you hear back. So maybe ask Bob in the meantime, and Bob doesn't give you the answer, but leads you through a series of questions that helps you arrive at the answer. And it's pretty elegant and exciting. We're doing that. We also have we're doing a partnership with a company that's out of Harvard and MIT, who are our neighbors in Boston, and they are helping us to analyze the data in our learning platform and the various tools we use to support our students, like Salesforce and others. And it came up with an algorithm that identifies students who may be getting close to being at what we call at risk of not succeeding in their class. And it generates a list for our advisors to reach out to students. And it's interesting because it's taking in so many data points, and we don't know why the student exactly is on this list, but we do know that they need some intervention. And it's great because we have the traditional higher ed flags. We know when a student is clearly at risk, it's time to intervene. But this backs it up and identifies them long before the normal standard ways of telling. So using AI for student success is a huge one. It's helping support our software developers with code, checks, and the list goes on and on. We're really excited about the ways that we're leveraging AI to supercharge all aspects of the business.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I, I mean, let me be honest. I know that, musicians do use a lot of tools,
Yes.
and it can, lead to a lot of things. But probably I haven't spoken to a lot of musicians, but it's great to see that, you are on par with any other academy as far as AI is concerned and implementing it. Because the reason I say that is not it's probably because of that conditioning where I've probably spoken to that kind of artists who are usually against any technological advancements,
Uh,
not really against technological advancements, but who keep reminiscing about how music is a certain way like this, here it's not that, and stuff like that. So, I mean, but it's great to know where
yeah.
Berkeley's online school is at when it comes to using AI.
Yeah. We just launched a course on songwriting with AI. We launched a course on music and audio with AI. Of course, there are a lot of people that are, scared, worried, upset, and that's always been the case. I found a quote that said something like, "This is going to ruin humanity." and this tool is going to ruin music forever. And it was this whole thing. When you read it, you would think they were talking about AI, and then you reveal who said it, and it was John Philip Sousa in 1908 talking about the phonograph. So there, every technological advance in the arts has been met with resistance. Drum machines were going to replace all drummers. Didn't happen.
Right.
Electric guitar was going to ruin society, and auto tune was going to ruin vocalists forever. And it would ends up being an extra tool, a new art form, it's all additive.
Right.
Yeah.
Debbie, here's a question, right? Because we spoke about AI, I have a friend, who uses a AI tool to make YouTube videos, like sleep music, sleep tune, and stuff like that, just a channel to see if there
Yes.
can be any monetary benefits and stuff like that. And we've had these discussions where, there are Reddit threads, where musicians talk about how AI music producers or production tools. Now, these AI tools are trained on the music that's already being created by a lot of people, right? And then
Yes.
other people come along who are not musicians at all and use these tools to create music. I mean, I'm not asking you about your for or against and all of those things. I just have you thought about it? Have
Right.
you had discussions? Where do you stand about this?
Yeah. So I'm not I don't consider myself a thought leader on this, but I will say that a couple things have resonated with me that I've encountered. One is, it's in the courts right now with the major labels, and is it okay to train on copyrights, or is it a copyright infringement? I think the courts need to decide that, and we abide by those laws. But I'm mindful of an interview I saw recently with Hans Zimmer, who said he's always thinking about what's next, what's new, create the next thing. All these tools are trained on the past, and they're going to generate music based on the
Right,
past.
right.
And yeah, only we can create something completely brand new. And I think there's a lot of hope in that.
Fair enough, Debbie. I think that's a very clear answer. No ambiguities there, actually. Yeah, that's true. Debbie, you spoke about how,
Yeah.
there's a team from MIT and Harvard, who are working on your data to kind of identify students who could be, who need intervention, who may not succeed.
Yes.
It's interesting that you had to say that,
Yes.
probably just for me, because I've always thought of music as a place where you don't have to, there's no goal, destination, success, or whatever it is. You learn for what it is.
Mm.
But I get it, when people come with a plan, they might have their ideas of success. So, how is success measured? Is it different for different students, or do you have a standard thing that needs to be kind of, touched to get a certificate?
That's a great question. So, success means passing the course. So, whether you have opted in as a student that's earning credit, then you're going to get a letter grade. Are you getting an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F? Um, so, and so that's student success means passing the course,
Which is
and
based on the number of
not
hours of classes attended and all of those things.
yeah, and the grades you get on your assignments, and so yeah. So if you do your first assignment in your class and you get an A on it, you're well on your way to succeeding. In fact, that's one measurable metric is how you do on your first assignment. If you fail your first assignment in an online class, you're probably not going to pass the data shows that you're probably not going to pass the class. It's one data point that is important. If you get an A on your first class and then you disappear for 2 weeks and didn't turn in those assignments, different things like that. So there's an expectation if you're going to get a credential from Berklee or any institution of higher ed, in order to get a passing grade, there are expectations that you will turn your assignments in on time, you will participate in, XYZ. All the grading rubric,
Right.
if you will, is established for each course, and the students, it's almost like a contract. I know I've got to do
Right.
these
Right.
things in this time frame. Yeah. And then if you're slipping and showing that you're not going to pass, that's what we call an at-risk student, and someone who is not going to succeed. And to us, succeed means passing, not just passing, but thriving.
Got
Yeah.
it, Debbie. No, now that you mentioned it, it seems pretty, you know, obvious. And but what I
Uh,
probably meant to ask was, now music is a subjective thing, right? I mean, how do
yes.
you really pass or fail a student? I mean, so is it not based on the work that they do with the music that they learn? Uh,
Yeah. Good question. I think I know where you're going with
yeah,
this.
I mean, how is
Yeah.
anybody to judge if it's
Yeah.
good, if it's okay, hey, you can pass, okay,
Yeah.
it's
Right. And yeah, and rules are made to be broken. And yeah. So students are graded on, we're teaching you this tool, demonstrate to me that you can do
right.
this, and then decide for yourself in your own creative endeavors if you want to use that. But I want a song, like I used the example of the intensity music. It's got to be complex rhythms, cluster chords, melodies that are not flowing but short in their movement. And you write this flowing string thing for an assignment on intensity music because creatively you feel like that's what I wanted to do. It's um, it's not to stop you from doing your own creative things. It's more like we're teaching you these concepts. Show me that you understand this. Demonstrate it through original composition work, and we'll check that box. And then use it or not in your own music. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. Yeah, so it's just tools and rules, and then break them. Do
No,
in your
got it,
own
Debbie. I mean, there has to
whatever
be some
works.
way, right? I mean, if
Yeah,
somebody is
yeah,
probably able to share the logic behind why they did what they did, not the logic really. I mean, it's a wrong word to use in music. Maybe the reason, and if it
yeah,
kind of falls within the rules that's there, I think that's probably how
yeah.
it's made. The music may be good, bad. I mean, for the listener, it depends.
It's so
It's yeah,
subjective. Yeah, and students could say, I did the assignment based on
right,
what we
right.
learned. I also did this other version that I want you to listen to because even though we didn't learn this technique, I think it adds to it. Instructors love that, like building on what they learned. So it's not hard and fast. There's a lot of flexibility, but you're right. How do you take a creative thing and grade it? It's really because we're learning some tools that, and then you can do your own thing.
Got it, Debbie.
Yeah.
And do people come higher from Berkeley based on the certificates and stuff like that? Is there a placement thing and all of those things like the other conventional universities from a job perspective?
The people who the people who teach for us
No,
or
the
the
students, the
students who are
students.
seeking jobs? Oh, yeah, there's a wonderful career center at Berkeley on the Boston campus, and they're very supportive of all of the Berkeley learning environments, including Berkeley Online students. The challenge with that for our students is our students are adult learners, and so they're not looking for that first
Right,
job.
right.
For a lot of our students, they're already out there with a great career, and they just want to fine tune or fill in the gaps. Yeah, so the adult learners, we surveyed recently, I think 74% of our graduates are working in the field that they studied. And that doesn't necessarily mean that happened after they graduated. For a lot of them, it happened when they were already working in the field.
Got it.
Yeah, different than the coming of age 18 to 22-year-old who are just
Yeah, yeah.
ready to make their way in the world. Yeah.
Got it, Debbie. Debbie, coming to the topics that you teach, or the instruments that you teach, or whatever it is. Now, music is huge. There are so many instruments. Everybody's got their own
Yeah.
version and stuff like that. What have you kind of, standardized? Okay, these are the things that we teach. And even from a demand perspective, right? I mean, if somebody is probably going to ask you
Yeah.
more of something nobody has heard, you're probably going to introduce that. But I think this question goes both ways. What are you standardized based on what is in demand?
That's a great question. We only develop courses and programs based on student demand. So we ask musicians, alumni, students, people, different populations, if you could study anything from Berklee, what would it be? What would you like to see? And we get really good information that way. Of course, it has to be something that aligns with Berklee's expertise. And for the most part, it's been a heavy focus in music production, music business,
Mm.
songwriting, and screen scoring, and that's really opened up the opportunities for scoring music for film, television, games, all the streaming shows. So those are the main areas that, and then all of the performance categories. So we have a lot of guitar students, keyboard. We have a guitar major, piano major, voice major, and of course you can go in and take those courses as well. So it's really reflective of what's taught on campus. And then we have some special things like neuroscience courses and music therapy and the AI courses I was talking about. We just started a 4-week course experience. So some of our adult learners say, I don't have 12 weeks. I'd love something shorter. So we've been building out a catalog of 4-week courses. That's where we can do the very timely yet short-lived course topics like AI, because that shortly after we release the course, it's going to need a revision because it's
Right,
changing
right.
so quickly.
Especially
So
anything on AI
easier to,
is so
yeah.
short-lived. Yeah.
Yes, so short-lived. And also the production courses, Pro Tools might be on version 14. They come out with version 15 next year. Then we have to update all of the Pro Tools courses. Even though we're teaching concepts, we still are using the tool, and the tool has to be up to date. Yeah.
Got it, Debbie. Debbie, I know the Mothership School was founded in the 1940s, and you just probably a couple of decades old. But when the pandemic
Yes.
happened,
Yeah.
um, did the load kind of completely fall on the online you know part of the school? I mean, what was it like during that phase?
So the online school doubled in enrollment in the first year and a half of COVID, because, well, most online schools saw that
Right.
kind of growth, but musicians in particular, their careers were halted. So we had people on Broadway who said, I guess now's the time to get to earn my degree. People, the touring stopped, everything. And so that was really something. We grew like crazy. And then we were able to help the campus, the
Yeah.
Berklee College of Music, our counterparts, by very quickly, within a day, spinning up another version of
Right.
our learning
Right.
environment, and yeah, getting all the students in. It was great because of Berklee's early investment in online learning. We were well poised to hit the ground running. Now, of course, Berklee College of Music on campus was established in 1945, and there are many, many more courses and majors and programs. So Berklee Online couldn't satisfy everything. We've got about 300 courses, but between the Berklee Online courses and then, of course, what everybody was doing with remote, just Zoom in your teacher's living room for a little while, we were able to keep going without missing a beat, which was great.
Got
Yeah,
it.
and yeah, it was you know a silver lining in a
Yeah.
challenging time. The fact that we had Berklee Online, yeah, and the good news is people discovered Berklee Online, and although the growth that we saw during COVID has halted, we didn't go down to pre-COVID enrollment numbers. We've maintained that elevated baseline, which is great.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
ask
yeah,
whether are
people
you
really opened up.
sustaining the peak that you
Yeah.
saw, or that's great. I mean, not growing can
Yes.
also be said as okay, you haven't kind of fallen back to pre-COVID numbers. Have
Yeah.
you? I know it's been 3.5, 4 years now after the COVID is passed, and probably you're going to look at the last three
Yes.
years number and see. Have you wondered why is that, Debbie? I mean, are you working actively on growing the online school, or are you?
Yes.
Okay, okay,
A few things. We're looking at new programs, new types of programs. So everything I described to you, whether it's a course or certificate program or degree program, your experience as a student is pretty similar. You start a course, you go through a 4 or 12 week experience, and that's worked really well, and I think will continue to work well. But we're looking at other opportunities to provide students with maybe self-paced opportunities or low-touch experiences. Also, maybe some what they call low residency programs, where you develop a program where there's some campus experience in addition to online. So we're looking at all of that. We're also trying to remove the friction from the mental barriers people sometimes have, and we're doing that very effectively. We have a wonderful marketing lead, a vice president for enrollment and marketing, who realized, along with our other marketing leads, so Michael Moyes and Greg Foucher, realized that there were mental obstacles for some of our potential degree students, and these obstacles were really not true. Like, they thought it was going to take half a day to fill out an application, and it doesn't. It's a very quick process. So we make that very clear. We removed the application fee because we found people were aborting the process at that stage. We help them with securing the transcripts from the various schools they went to. So imagine you're 45 years old and you've gone to like 2 community colleges and Berklee years ago, and now you've got to get your transcripts, and it's a daunting task. So we help with that and removing these hurdles. It drove our applications and our enrollment this past semester so much, and now it looks like we're on track again for more growth. So this is just a way to help our students get to where they want to be, removing the friction. It's really working.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's a thing for all the digital marketers. They really go to those nitty-gritties about, can we
Yeah.
avoid another duplication of an information that you already have and stuff like that. And it's great, that
Yeah.
you've mentioned all of those things. Debbie, when the pandemic hit, I'm sure you didn't do marketing and stuff like that. People found you. And I'm not sure what happened after that. Have you, to keep the numbers up there, have you started new initiatives of marketing after the pandemic? Or has it been like that organically? Yeah, following up to the things that you said just
Yeah.
now.
We never stopped marketing, through any of it. And we have a really creative marketing team, and we've got industry partnerships, and it would be a whole Zoom session to describe all the things that our marketing team does. But it's a lot of content-based marketing. So you provide your email address to get access to instructional videos or different kinds of things like that. Or you might be on a website where you're purchasing an instrument from a company like Sweetwater, and you see on the right where you can buy Ableton Live, there's a free lesson from Berklee online for Ableton Live. So a lot of industry partnership opportunities like that. All the typical digital marketing that you would expect. Social media is an important part of our strategy. All the paid search, all of that, and some inventive branding kind of marketing as well. So I'm really proud of our marketing team. They work hard, and they try everything. All the different channels and all the different opportunities. It's a rapidly changing landscape, and they keep their finger on the pulse. And they not only try everything, but they report and document and try again. And sometimes we do something even before it's time, and they circle back and try again years later. Like LinkedIn used to be something that didn't pan out, and now LinkedIn is a wonderful channel for Berklee Online.
Oh, wow. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Debbie, you spoke about, a lot of applications. You had a surge in the number of applications were getting filled in, but at the point of paying the fee or something, people were aborting and stuff like that, right? So have there been instances where or is it still there where, you've accepted a lot of applications, but a lot of people choose not to accept your offer to come learn with you?
It's pretty consistent. So, we have a team, as all schools do, for application review, and um, it's you know it's pretty easy to tell. Our yield rate, which means that the number of students that you've accepted, how many end up being your students, is pretty consistent because of the rubric that we use for evaluating an application. So it's pretty consistent. The things that we're doing to remove friction has increased the volume, not only for applications submitted, but it also translates to actually the yielding students as well. So that's been a very positive thing.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But removing the friction has not only gotten you a surge in application, but has it also helped increase your enrollment numbers, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant by yield. Yes. So, yeah, it was not only, and we were watching it because it was the first time we did it, but we removed the friction. The application pool was larger, and we said, okay, are these going to be, what's going to happen with this? And sure enough, the same percentage were additive to the actual students that
Got it.
arrived, virtually arrived. Yeah. And of course, that's half of our business. The degree business is half of our business. The other half is the non-degree business where people just buy a course or buy a certificate program. So it's not just applications, it's also just selecting a course and
Got
enrolling.
it.
Yeah.
I, you've got marketing, seems like it's, great, it's well oiled and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Now, talking about the people who did not go forward despite being accepted, have you established a
Mm.
channel where, you've tried to figure out what really happened, where they're just exploring? Because the reason I'm asking is now, let's say, for example, coming to the conventional academic universities where they do degrees, students apply to 4 to 5 universities at a time. And it's bound that, they're not going to accept all of them. It's just one. So that's one thing. My question is probably two-part now, because now I'm realizing, is it like that even in the music domain? My first question. Second question, have you wondered if you needed to, just get a feedback as to what's happening? Is there a chance to even increase that numbers there?
Yeah, there's always a story. We've accepted you, and you didn't come. So what's the story there? And that's usually a few different buckets. One is like something happened in their
Right,
life, and again, adult learners, um, issues with children, issues with jobs, issues with moving, you name it, getting deployed. A huge percentage of our online students are in the military, so life is changing
right. Okay.
quickly. Um, yeah, so there's that. Then, the narrative could be any number of things. Financial situation changed for some reason. Um, Also, maybe they're trying to figure out, do I want to do online or do I want to go to a campus program? Um, you know, with adult learners, online is very attractive, but also there's opportunities in their locale, to pursue higher ed. So yeah, there are any number of reasons, and sometimes it's just I know you accepted me, and I would like to delay it by a semester or delay it by 2 semesters, and I'll be back. So there's that as well.
Got it.
Yeah, but it's a pretty strong yield rate. The folks that we
Okay.
accept, there's a pretty strong
Okay.
yield.
Okay. I mean, the reason I
Yeah,
asked was,
yeah,
majority of the education businesses today, they have a very strong sales team. It doesn't stop with marketing.
yeah,
The moment everything's done, they're on their phones calling and stuff like that. I was just curious if you do that. I figured that you don't.
yeah. I think that's another difference between a
Yeah. Yeah.
for-profit and a
Yeah.
nonprofit. Yeah, yeah. So if the student's interested, we're there to help them. But I think there are some for-profit online schools that, you know, that did some things that were not in the best interest of the students, and that's not how we operate. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's interesting how it directly, you thought about it's not in the best interest of the students. But even in that cluster, you can probably, divide those, and it may not be 100% not in the best interest of the enrollers, but probably a part of them were thankful that they got a little push, because sometimes the reason is just
Yeah.
nothing, it's just inertia, because they're uncertain,
Yep.
and whoever is going to drag them in any direction, they're just going to fall in that direction. And
Yeah. Yep.
okay.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
That's
Debbie, you spoke about, you've just started four different, branches. One of them you spoke something about, like, am I correct? Was it music therapy or psychotherapy? I'm not sure. But there was some therapy in the program that you just mentioned. Uh,
we have a course, one course on music therapy.
okay.
Yeah.
So is that
Yes.
using music as a healing medium or something like that? Is that what it is supposed to be?
Yeah, music therapy is a wonderful major in our on-campus Boston campus. So music therapists use music for for health and healing, um, and it's fantastic. So we have a music therapy course for anybody who is interested in it. It's not a true
Got it.
like a
Got it.
true music therapy course. They go into hospitals and all of that. That kind of a program. It's very rigorous. Very yeah. It's a wonderful career path. But we have, I mentioned we have a course in that. We also have neuroscience courses and music in the brain courses and all kinds of things beyond the main categories that I mentioned
Right.
to you.
Music for healing has been a thing. Let's say, for example, in India, in the Carnatic music, they say that this raga is what they call. I don't know what is it called in English. This raga helps for this. This helps for this, and stuff like that.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, yes,
where
yes.
I'm coming
Yep.
to is where I'm coming at, Debbie, is there a parallel research that's going on? I mean, because it's if something's going to work with music, then why not? And you being a musician yourself, and you've been in the industry for so long, has that been an area of interest consistently, or is it just not that serious?
Oh, it's very
Okay.
serious. Yeah, it's very serious, very powerful. I think there's a lot of research that shows the, real results. We actually have three courses on music therapy. I forgot music therapy principles, music therapy techniques for wellness, and managing your stress with music. I personally have had a wonderful experience. I'm not a music therapist or a trained music therapist, but there's an organization called Musicians on Call where you become part of this organization and you go to hospitals and sing to children in children's hospitals bedside and go room to room. I had a keyboard on a cart, and we'd push it room to room and knock on the door and say, would you like to hear some music? Would you like to? And the children, it just literally lights them up. It's incredible.
Got it, Debbie. I'll, probably my concluding topic is, we spoke
Yes.
about all the demography of the people that join you from a geographical point of view, from a location point of view. What is it like? The online school, one of the things that come to my mind is, it just breaks the barriers of the distance and stuff like that. People can anywhere,
Yeah.
but is it primarily people from US that's joining, or do you have a good number of foreigners as well?
Yeah, we've documented students from I think more than 140 countries around the world.
Okay.
But right now, or I should say, ever since we started, our courses are taught in English.
Right.
So it's English speaking territories and or English speaking people around the world. 164 countries it is. So U.S., Canada, England, Australia, and then every country you can imagine, but it's in English right now. We are starting to develop some Spanish language courses that will be around available probably next year, and we're excited about that. And then with our partnership with Coursera and edX, those courses are developed in English but those platforms have robust translation tools, and so you can take those courses in any number of languages. So those the enrollments in those free, not instructor-led courses are strong in India and
Right.
Brazil and South America. Yeah, yeah, and that's our goal, is to have Berklee Online's courses be more internationally accessible, and we're going to start with Spanish and grow from there.
Right. So which means,
But
sorry,
also,
yeah, please continue.
I should note that our Coursera courses, if you go to Berklee's Coursera page for the free courses there, we have a lot of courses that are also in Spanish and Portuguese. We got a grant to develop those, so they're not just translations; they were actually developed in Spanish and Portuguese, and you can tell those because the course icon is either brown or blue sepia tone, and the others are just black
Right.
and white. But yeah, yeah,
Got it. So when you say, you're going to probably introduce Spanish, you're going to have native
yeah,
Spanish people, musicians come in, right? And they're probably,
yes, yes.
right.
Yeah, the course material will be in Spanish, the course environment in Spanish. The advisor that checks in on the students for their progress will, the conversation will be in Spanish, and the teacher of that section or those sections, depending on how many enrollments we get, will be Spanish. So we're pretty excited about that.
Got it, Debbie. And I'm sure that's related to
Yeah.
how many Spanish speakers there are in the US versus where they are around the world, right? That's, I'm sure, is one of the criteria for you to pick Spanish.
Wherever they reside, I think that the challenge can be, and is, the cost. Even though Berklee Online courses are 65% less than campus tuition, it's still not accessible or affordable for so many people around the world. Which is why I'm so happy we have the Coursera courses, because that's truly Berklee curricula. It's freely available, but we're working hard to make Berklee Online more available to with these Spanish courses, with the 4-week courses, which are less expensive, of course.
Got it, Debbie. Debbie, probably the closing question, because you mentioned cost, have
Okay.
you, during your growth meetings or whatever, have you had discussions where, probably you increase the cohort size and probably decrease the price? And, because when you talk about countries like, India or Brazil, where the population is, it's just a volume game, right? Have you
Yeah.
so I understand cost is for the quality and it's probably not for any other reason. But with the increase in volume, I think you can
Mm.
very easily surpass that. But, I don't know. I mean, I'm just putting my thought out there.
It's a good idea. Yeah, that would help the numbers definitely. We just have to balance the student experience, the instructor experience. What are the trade-offs for the educational experience? Right now, one instructor to 20 students seems like a small, intimate cohort online, but it's so many more students than the campus experience, which is 1 to 8
Right.
students. So,
I'm sure. No, no, no.
um,
No, I mean, I was just curious if somebody
yeah,
has yet brought in this where they say, okay, you know what, can we make it 1 to 30 or something like that? Given that there is a lot of AI
yeah,
now, I mean, which can probably assist.
right, right, yeah, yeah. I think the number one thing our students care about the most is the access to
Right, right.
instructor, their Berklee instructor. So yeah, but maybe there's another version of what we offer where people know it's a bigger group, but it's less
Yeah, like
expensive,
with
and
Bob.
all things to look at. Yeah, yep, yep. So yeah, who knows what the future holds? We are starting to talk about exciting new plans with our wonderful new president, Jim Lucchese. So I think you'll be seeing some new things from Berklee Online, and affordability is, front of mind for all of us.
Yeah, every time conversations like this, when we're wondering, okay, what is AI here really to do? And there is a lot of negative narrative, the job's going and stuff like that. Uh,
Mm.
I just realized because I mean You realize once and you tend to forget, but repeated conversations help you remember that AI in education can really bring costs down. And I think
Yes.
we just kind of touched upon that a little bit. And I mean, it's a note to self, so I'm going to remember that. If
Yeah.
somebody is having sort of a negative outlook on AI, at least in the education space, I think it can definitely assist teachers and maybe, for starters, increase the cohort sizes while maintaining the cost. Um,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's an idea we should, examine for
Thank
sure.
you, Debbie. Debbie, it
Yeah.
was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for your
You too,
time.
Jack. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yeah. Thank you very much.